You are watching Over the Back Fence, a conversation between neighbors. And this is a production of Neighborhood Falmouth. Your conversationalists today include Jackie Pratt, Marion Bihari, Mary Pat McKenzie, and I'm Susan Laux. So our topic today is kind of a strange one. It's teeth, dentist, going to the dentist, pulling teeth, pulling your kids' teeth, having your kids' teeth fall out, knocking a tooth out, anything to do with your oral history. So now, who wants to start?
Susan, you go ahead. You got a store couple?
I do actually, a few things that I have been reminded of thinking of this topic. Well, one was when I was a kid, I really didn't, when my tooth would be like hanging by a thread and about to fall out and you wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. I did not want to pull it out. My mom would say, well, you know what, you need to pull that tooth out. And I'd say, no, I don't. And she'd say, well, you're going to choke on it while you sleep. That's, what they always would say, right? And I would say, no, I'm not. And eventually, twice this happened, twice that I remember, my parents both chased me around the house. I mean, I had a very amicable relationship with my parents, except for around this thing. Chased me around the house, pinned me to the floor, held my nose shut so that my mouth would open, and then forcibly pulled my tooth out. And I was furious, furious. And, by that point, there was no even blood anymore. It was just like, and it was out. It was no big deal. But I do remember that. And I do remember my younger brother was up for anything. And I could talk him into doing anything, which was a great thing. And so one time he had a loose tooth and I said, Whit, why don't we tie a string around your tooth and then, do it to a doorknob like we'd seen on cartoons or whatever. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. And so we did it and we slammed the door and boop, out came the tooth and it was perfect. And he was like, yeah, great. And another time he had one tooth that was sort of so loose that it was kind of sticking out of his mouth. And I said, you know what you should do? Just drag your hand all the way down your body, down to your feet, and then now drag it all the way back up and come over your mouth. And he's like, okay, boop, tooth comes flying right out. And I thought, this is genius. This is genius. But I do have to say, I did have one bad dental experience. I mean, the dentist has not been a problem for me, generally speaking. But one time I had to get a root canal. I had a broken tooth and they had to take out the tooth so that they could do, the post and the crown and all that stuff. And I went and they such a nice guy, but so the tooth wouldn't come out. And so he yanking on me and my head is going like this. And at one point he puts his foot against the chair and starts yanking and it's still not coming out. And then he calls in a few nurses to hold my shoulders down while he continues to yank. And I finally was like, I was in tears. I was like, stop. And he's like, yeah, I think we need to take another approach. So he decided to cut it into 4 sections. And then he was able to remove it. But I was just, that was a horrible experience. But
how long ago was that?
It was here in Falmouth, and it was probably 10, 12 years ago, something like that. And all names are protected, this, but yeah, but again, I and it didn't make me shy to go to the dentist again. I mean, you have to go to the dentist, but anyways, so those are my stories. And I knocked this tooth out when I was in 4th grade. That's why it doesn't match the rest of the group. But, yeah.
Well, I just have one story. I was scared to death of going to the dentist, and I can't tell you why. And I remember his name. His name was Dr. Weil. Of course, he's been dead years already. But I remember my mother taking me, and I must have been 5 or 6 or something. And I got in the dentist chair, And I was so scared. And I don't know why I was scared. I don't remember any other dental experience except this one. And I'm in the chair, and he put the little towel on me. And I really was so nervous and so scared that I jumped up and I ran. And I ran out of the office, and my mother and the dentist came running after me. And we were we called it the bank building. It was like a 10-story building. There was a bank on the bottom. It was a very big building. And when you got off at each floor, it was almost like a circle. So I don't remember where his office was, but I started running, and it took them 10 or 15 minutes to get a hold of me. My mother was screaming at me, that kind of thing. Anyway, they finally got me back in the chair, and I was, and I didn't go. And she kept telling me, we have to go. And she didn't make me go for a very long time. So that by the time I went again, I had some really bad problems with my teeth. Um, so that was my adventure with my teeth. But as I got older, I became friendly with when we were in Georgia with a friend. Her husband was a dentist, and he was wonderful. And I actually went to him for 26 years. They lived in Long Island. And so I would drive there just to go to him.
Not from
But
Georgia. You wouldn't go from Georgia to Long
well,
Island.
I met him in Georgia when we were my husband was in the Army. And then he transferred back to New York where we were going. And even though he was an hour and a half away, I just went to see him, and I went to see him for 100 years, so to speak. Anyway, that was my big story.
Oh my gosh. And did you mentioned the elevators in the bank building. Did you actually take the elevator when you were
No,
running?
no, I just kept running in the hall. And the hall it was a very big building. Now, if I went back to see the building now, it probably would be very small. But to me, it seemed like a skyscraper. And I just remember them coming running after me.
Oh my God. Nice one, Marion. Nice
Yes.
one. Stand up
Yeah.
for yourself.
Right.
Oh, I love it. Mary Pat.
Well, we're like Marianne, we still drive to New Jersey to the dentist.
Oh, you do?
And yeah, so which has been it was like we were scheduled last April and then couldn't go. So now we have to, it's a long time without going. But we really like them. So, if you like your dentist, it's hard to switch. I think it's easier to switch doctors than dentists for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I'm sorry, the phone started ringing. The worst accident I ever had with my teeth, I was 7, and I had some baby teeth and some first teeth. And I was playing hockey at a rink with my brother, and somehow I clipped him when I skated by with the edge of the hockey stick. He thought I did it on purpose.
Oh,
He yelled at me, and he's my younger brother, and took his hockey stick and threw it like a spear. And it hit me in the mouth. So it split my lip up, took out a big chunk of my lip, and knocked out what turned out to be the last of my baby teeth, my eye teeth. And the other ones kind of wiggled. They didn't fall out, which was really fortunate. So I had to go to the dentist a lot for a while because they thought all of my teeth were going to turn black and fall out. They did not, for which I am really grateful, except I'm not sure I've forgiven him yet. And that was years ago.
how often do you bring up that story?
I try not to in front of my mother because she seems to think it was my fault. She wasn't there. So she always felt like he could do no wrong, and he was 5 and I was 7. So what the heck? It was clearly my fault,
Mm-hmm.
It's funny that I was never scared either, because actually there were 2 methods of removing baby teeth in our family. If it was in the summer and you were at my grandparents' summer place, my grandfather would tie a string around it and say, jump off the veranda. which it works like a door, you know,
Right.
tied to the railing and you jump off the railing. And my father was a doctor. And because he had been a country doctor for the first couple of years of practice, he had to take teeth out. They didn't have a dentist in this northern Quebec town where they
Oh,
live.
wow.
So Daddy was used to doing it with pliers. And so after the first couple of teeth, Daddy just took the pliers. I don't even know if he washed them and just yanked.
Oh my goodness.
It sounds kind of horrifying, but I do have one other tooth story, which is very recent. I was cleaning boxes of stuff, you know, like with coronavirus, you know, being in the house, you start cleaning more.
Right.
And one box I opened, it was sort of an old jewelry box of mine. And I don't know where it's been for the last 20 years, but my daughter, I opened it and it had the kids, their bracelets from being born at the hospital. And then it had her baby teeth in it because the tooth fairy at our house didn't always remember to take the teeth, leave the money, but frequently left the teeth. So just, I don't know, 2 months ago, it must have been like at Christmas, we went up because we were going to have an outdoor visit. And I gave her back her teeth. She was appalled.
I'd rather have the cash.
Grossed out. It was like, Mom, what are you giving me? I have baby teeth. And her sons, who are both in the middle of losing their teeth, were so excited. That was like so cool. Mummy's teeth. So
Gosh.
it's a little weird.
You remind me that I have a girlfriend who, I was right out of college, we were right out of college, and she got her wisdom teeth out at one point, and she called me. I was working in an investment company at that time in a really dredgy kind of job, and she called and she was totally stoned. She was out of it. She's like, I got my teeth, they're out, and guess what? I'm gonna make earrings out of them. Like, great idea. Let's talk about that when I see you next time.
Oh, God.
Fortunately, I think she sobered up before she actually got it.
I had the same experience as you, Mary Pat. I carefully saved Max's teeth, and we had this little box we put under her pillow so she could put her teeth in it, her tooth in it. And then, but I saved them all in an envelope, and then I put everything back in the box, and I put it in with her baby stuff. Well, for her first baby shower, she wanted all her baby stuff. So I sent her silver spoon and her, you know, and her first shoes and a bunch of her baby clothes that I'd saved. She hadn't used as cat or doll clothes. And I sent her teeth, and she called me and she horrified and she said, what am I supposed to do with these? But the thing is, I remember the last tooth that she lost and put under her pillow, because the thing is that I snuck in, and I apparently wasn't as quiet as I should have been, because she woke up and she said, what are you doing? Where's the tooth fairy? And I said, the tooth fairy couldn't get across the canal because of high winds. And there's a special 800 number for I'm just going on and on with this big story. And I think I deserve some credit for creativity. And she said, okay. But then she came home from school the next day and she goes, there is no tooth fairy. And I said, you might want to rethink that, because you still got a few teeth to lose. And you wouldn't want to lose the under the pillow cash, would you? She said, oh yeah. And she said, I know there's no Santa Claus either. And I said, again, you know, think it through. You really want to believe.
Oh, that's great.
But
Great.
but I, there's, the tooth fairy couldn't get here because I
So
wouldn't.
Jackie, why did you save the teeth? I don't know why I saved the teeth.
I just put them in. I guess I thought they'd be important to her someday. I don't know why.
Well, they're important to you. I saved them
Yeah.
too for a while, and then one day I found them and I thought, but then
Right.
I guess I thought, can you compost these? Because they're sort of,
They're bone.
yeah, right. So I don't think I composted them.
They
Nothing will grow if you put it in the ground.
It will prevent,
Nothing will grow. The teeth won't grow.
yeah, right. Yeah, they won't dissolve.
That
Oh,
could be
well.
another topic one day, things that we've saved over the years.
Oh, yeah, I like
Yes.
that. I like that. Well, you know
Versus-
what? Why don't we bring this one to a close? And if you have any stories about teeth, dentists, or any part of your oral history, let us know. Send us an email, give us a call, and maybe you can participate in our next Over the Back Fence. Thanks for joining us. This has been a production of Neighborhood Falmouth.